Before we get into the story, leave a comment and let us know what city you're watching from. And don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10 at the end. Enjoy the story. The rain comes down in sheets, blurring the streetlights into halos of gold as Mia Carson staggers forward, one foot in front of the other. She doesn't know where she is. The neighborhood looks expensive, mansions set back from the road behind iron gates and manicured hedges. But the street names mean nothing to her spinning mind. Her vision blurs at the edges, darkness creeping in like curtains closing on a stage. She presses one hand against her ribs, feeling the warmth there, sticky and wrong. When she pulls her fingers away, they're dark with blood, black in the dim light. The pain is a distant thing now, muffled beneath the shock and the cold rain soaking through her thin dress. Behind her, somewhere in the labyrinth of Seattle's affluent Laurelhurst neighborhood, are the men who did this to her. She can still hear their laughter, still smell the cigarette smoke and whiskey on their breath as they cornered her in the alley behind the nightclub where she'd been working. She'd been taking out the trash, such a mundane task, and then there were hands grabbing her, dragging her deeper into the shadows. She'd fought. God, how she'd fought. Her nails had raked across someone's face, her knee had connected with someone's groin. But there had been 3 of them, and only 1 of her. And when the knife came out, everything had changed. Mia doesn't remember running, but she must have, because now she's here, blocks away. The club's neon sign nowhere in sight. Her legs are giving out. She knows this with a calm certainty that should terrify her, but doesn't. She's going to fall, and when she does, she might not get back up. A mansion looms ahead, larger than the others, with a circular driveway and a fountain she can hear but not see through the rain and the gathering darkness in her vision. There's a gate, but it's open, as if waiting for her. She doesn't question it. She just moves toward it, drawn like a moth to flame. The driveway is smooth beneath her bare feet. She lost her shoes somewhere, though she can't remember where. Each step sends spikes of pain through her side, and she's leaving a trail she realizes dimly. Drops of blood on pristine concrete, evidence of her passage. She makes it to the front door. A massive thing of dark wood with a brass knocker shaped like a lion's head. She lifts her hand to knock, but her strength finally fails. Her knees buckle, and she crumples against the door, sliding down its surface until she's sitting, then lying on the cold stone of the entrance. The rain continues to fall, washing over her, and Ma closes her eyes. She thinks of her sister, Anna, safe in Portland, unaware that Mia is dying on a stranger's doorstep in Seattle. She thinks of the life she'd been trying to build, waitressing at night, taking community college classes during the day, saving every penny to maybe, someday, afford something better. She thinks this is a stupid way to die. Above her, inside the mansion, she hears something. Voices. Footsteps. The sound of the door opening. But she can't open her eyes to see who's found her. The darkness is too heavy now, pressing down on her like a physical weight. Jesus Christ, someone says, a man's voice, deep and sharp with shock. Get Marcus, now! Hands touch her, lifting her, and she tries to speak, to say she's sorry for bleeding on their doorstep, for bringing her problems to their door, but no words come out. Just a small sound, barely a whimper. Stay with me, the voice says, closer now, and she feels herself being carried. Don't you dare die on me. Do you hear me? Don't you dare. She wants to tell him she'll try, but the darkness swallows her whole, and Mia Carson knows nothing more. When consciousness returns, it comes in fragments. Pain first, sharp and immediate, radiating from her right side. Then sound, a steady beeping that matches the rhythm of her heartbeat. Then smell, antiseptic and clean, overlaid with something else, something expensive like leather and cologne. Mia's eyes flutter open, and she immediately regrets it. The light is too bright, stabbing into her skull like needles. She closes them again, groaning. "You're awake." That same voice from before, the one that told her not to die. It's closer now, right beside her. She forces her eyes open again, slower this time, letting them adjust. The room comes into focus gradually. It's not a hospital room, though there's medical equipment here, monitors and an IV stand, a bag of clear fluid dripping into a tube that leads to her arm. But the walls are paneled in dark wood, and the bed she's lying in is enormous, with sheets that feel like silk against her skin. She turns her head, and her breath catches. The man sitting in the chair beside her bed is the most striking person she's ever seen. Dark hair, almost black, styled in a way that looks effortless, but probably isn't. Sharp cheekbones and a strong jaw, a mouth that's set in a grim line. But it's his eyes that hold her, pale gray like winter storms, intense and unreadable as they study her face. He's wearing a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, revealing tanned forearms corded with muscle. No tie, top button undone. He looks like he's been here a while, a shadow of stubble darkening his jaw, his hair slightly mussed, as if he's been running his hands through it. "Who are you?" Mia's voice comes out as a rasp, her throat dry and painful. "I'm the person whose door you collapsed on," he says, his tone even. "My name is Alexander Kane." The name means nothing to her, but something in the way he says it suggests it should. Alexander Kane. It sounds like money, like power, like someone important. "I'm Mia," she whispers, then winces as a wave of pain rolls through her side. "I know. Your ID was in your pocket." He leans forward slightly, his elbows on his knees, hands clasped. "Can you tell me what happened to you, Mia?" The memories flood back, and she closes her eyes against them. The alley, the men, the knife. I was attacked. Outside the club where I work, 3 men. His expression doesn't change, but something hardens in his eyes. "Did you see their faces? Would you recognize them?" She nods, then immediately wishes she hadn't as her head throbs. "Yes, but I don't want to. I don't want anything to do with this. You were stabbed," he says bluntly. "Nearly bled to death on my doorstep. You don't get to decide whether or not you're involved. You already are." Fear spikes through her, sharp and cold. "Are you going to call the police?" "No." The answer is so immediate, so certain, that it takes her a moment to process it. "Why not?" Alexander Kane stands, moving to the window that looks out over manicured grounds, a pool visible in the distance. He's tall, she realizes, well over 6 feet, with the kind of presence that fills a room. "Because I don't involve the police in my business. Ever." "Your business?" She tries to sit up and gasps as pain lances through her side. "What does your business have to do with me getting stabbed?" He turns back to her. And there's something dangerous in his expression now, something that makes her heart race for reasons that have nothing to do with her injury. "You collapsed on my doorstep, Mia. That makes you my business now, my problem to solve. I'm not your problem. I'm nobody's problem." She's angry now, anger cutting through the fear and pain. "Just let me go. I'll figure it out on my own." "You'll die on your own," he says flatly. "The men who attacked you, they didn't do it randomly. That club you work at, it's owned by the Moretti family. Protection racket, drug distribution, human trafficking. You saw something you shouldn't have, or someone decided you knew too much, or maybe you're just collateral damage. Either way, they'll come for you again." The room spins. "I don't know anything about any of that." I just serve drinks and take out the trash in alleys where deals go down. His eyes don't leave hers. Whether you know anything or not doesn't matter. Perception is reality in their world. Mia feels tears prick her eyes, hot and shameful. So what am I supposed to do? Hide forever? Alexander crosses back to her, sitting on the edge of the bed this time, close enough that she can smell his cologne, something dark and woodsy. You stay here, under my protection, until I figure out who's responsible and deal with them. Why would you do that? You don't know me. His expression softens almost imperceptibly. Call it a character flaw. I don't like innocent people being hurt on my watch, and you literally ended up on my doorstep. If I'd ignored you, you'd be dead. I don't walk away from that kind of responsibility. She wants to argue, but exhaustion is creeping over her again, heavy and irresistible. Her eyelids are drooping despite her best efforts to keep them open. Sleep, Alexander says quietly. We'll talk more when you're stronger. The security footage, she mumbles, the thought occurring to her as consciousness starts to slip away. Your cameras must have caught me. Coming here. They did, he confirms. Every second of it. You crawling up my driveway, collapsing against my door. It's all recorded. Why? She can barely form the words now. Why does that matter? His answer follows her down into sleep. Because now I know exactly what kind of determination you have. And that, Mia Carson, is going to keep you alive. When Mia wakes again, the room is dark except for a small lamp on the nightstand. The pain in her side has dulled to a persistent ache, and when she tentatively moves, she discovers she can shift position without feeling like she's being stabbed all over again. A man sits in the chair Alexander had occupied before, but it's not Alexander. This man is older, maybe 60, with steel gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses. He's reading something on a tablet, his expression calm and professional. Ah, you're awake, he says, looking up with a slight smile. I'm Dr. Marcus Chen. I've been monitoring your recovery. How long have I been here? Her voice is still rough, but better than before. 3 days. You were in and out of consciousness for most of it. He stands, approaching the bed to check the monitors. The knife wound wasn't as deep as it could have been. Mostly soft tissue damage. No major organs hit. You're very lucky. 3 days. The information settles over her like a weight. 3 days of her life. Gone. My sister. Does she know where I am? Dr. Chen glances toward the door, and Mia follows his gaze to see Alexander standing there. She has no idea how long he's been watching them. We found your phone in your pocket, Alexander says, stepping into the room. It was password protected, so no, we haven't contacted anyone. But you should. Let her know you're safe. Safe. The word feels foreign, impossible. I don't know what to tell her. She doesn't know about any of this. About the club, about what happened. Then tell her you're taking a few weeks off work, staying with a friend. He pulls a new phone from his pocket, still in its box. Yours was damaged. Use this one. But don't tell her where you are. The less she knows, the safer she'll be. Mia takes the phone with trembling hands. The practical part of her brain notes it's the latest model, probably expensive. Everything here is expensive, she's realizing. The sheets, the medical equipment, the casual way Alexander produces a brand new phone like it's nothing. Who are you, really? She asks, looking up at him. You're not just some guy who lives in a nice house. A ghost of a smile touches his lips. No, I'm not. I'm a businessman, Mia. Import, export, investments, real estate. I have interests all over the Pacific Northwest. It's an answer that says nothing at all, and they both know it. But before she can press further, Dr. Chen clears his throat. I'll leave you two to talk. Miss Carson, I'll be back in a few hours to check on you. If you need anything before then, there's a call button by the bed. He nods to Alexander and slips out of the room. Silence falls between them, thick and charged. Mia is acutely aware that she's in a stranger's house, in his bed, wearing what feels like an expensive silk nightgown that definitely isn't hers, connected to medical equipment he's provided. I can't pay you back, she says quietly, for any of this. The doctor, the medicine, this room. I don't have that kind of money. I'm not asking you to. Alexander moves to the window again, his preferred position, it seems. Somewhere he can look out at his domain while he talks. Consider it an investment. In what? In someone who refused to give up even when she was bleeding to death, who crawled half a mile through the rain to find help instead of lying down and accepting her fate. He glances back at her. That kind of stubbornness is useful. A chill runs down her spine. Useful for what? For surviving what comes next. He turns fully to face her. The men who attacked you, I have people looking into it. But in the meantime, you can't go back to your apartment, can't go back to the club, can't resume your normal life. You understand that, don't you? She does, though accepting it feels like swallowing broken glass. So I just hide here. For how long? Until it's safe. Or until I make it safe. The distinction is subtle but important, and the way he says it sends another shiver through her. You keep talking like you have some kind of power to fix this. What are you, some kind of vigilante? His laugh is short and humorless. Nothing so noble. I'm just a man who knows how this city really works, who controls what and where the pressure points are. The Morettis are small time, relatively speaking. They operate in my city with my permission, whether they realize it or not. When they attack someone under my roof, that becomes my problem. I wasn't under your roof when they attacked me. You are now. That's all that matters. Mia doesn't know what to say to that. The casual way he claims ownership, not of her exactly, but of her situation, her safety, her existence in this moment. It should terrify her, and part of her is terrified. But another part, the part that spent 3 days hovering between life and death, is grateful. I should call my sister, she says finally, looking down at the phone in her hands. You should. But Mia, she looks up, meeting those storm-gray eyes. Be careful what you tell her. The more people who know where you are, the more danger you're all in. She nods, and he leaves, pulling the door closed behind him with a soft click. For a long moment, she just sits there, holding the phone, trying to figure out what to say. How do you tell someone you love that your life just imploded, that you're hiding in a stranger's mansion, that you might not see them for who knows how long? In the end, she keeps it simple. A text message, brief and cryptic. Taking some time off, staying with a friend. Don't worry about me. Love you. We'll call soon. Anna's response comes within seconds. WTF, Mia? What friend? You don't have friends in Seattle. Are you okay? Mia stares at the message, tears blurring her vision. Anna's right. She doesn't have friends here. She's been too busy surviving, working double shifts, going to classes, trying to build something from nothing. She's been alone, and now that loneliness is a weapon being used against her. I'm okay, she types back. Really, just need a break. I'll explain later. She turns off the phone before Anna can respond again, before the questions can multiply and the lies can pile up. Then she lies back against the pillows, exhaustion washing over her again, despite the sleep she's been getting. Through the window, she can see the grounds of the estate, illuminated by subtle lighting. It's beautiful. like something out of a magazine. And somewhere in this beautiful place is a man who's both her savior and her captor, though she suspects he'd object to the latter term. A man who watches security footage of her crawling to his door and sees determination instead of desperation. A man who speaks casually of making things safe, of having permission and power in the shadows of the city. A man whose storm-gray eyes seem to see right through her. Mia closes her own eyes and wonders what she's gotten herself into. Wonders if being saved was just the beginning of a different kind of danger. Over the next week, Mia's world shrinks to the boundaries of Alexander's mansion. She's confined to her room for the first few days, doctor's orders. But Dr. Chen gradually allows her more movement as her wound heals. Short walks to the bathroom become trips down the hallway, which become explorations of the second floor. The house is massive, a modern masterpiece of glass and dark wood with soaring ceilings and artwork that probably costs more than she'd earn in 10 years. She counts 8 bedrooms on the second floor alone, each with its own bathroom, each decorated with impeccable taste that speaks of interior designers and unlimited budgets. She sees staff sometimes, people who move through the house with quiet efficiency. A housekeeper named Rosa, who brings her meals on a tray 3 times a day. A younger man named James, who handles security, she thinks, based on the earpiece he wears and the way his eyes are always moving, always watching. Others whose names she doesn't learn, who nod respectfully when they pass her in the hallways, but never speak unless spoken to. She sees Alexander less than she expects. He appears each evening around 7, knocking once before entering her room, asking about her recovery, answering her questions with careful non-answers, and then disappearing again. He's busy, she gathers, with his business interests, whatever those really are. On the 8th day, Dr. Chen declares her well enough to move around freely within the house, though he warns against any strenuous activity for at least another 2 weeks. The stitches can come out in a few days, he says, and then she'll be left with a scar, a permanent reminder of the night her life changed. That evening, Mia makes her way downstairs for the first time. The first floor is even more impressive than the second. With a massive living room that opens onto the grounds through floor-to-ceiling windows, a dining room with a table that could seat 20, and a kitchen that looks like it belongs in a 5-star restaurant. She finds Alexander in a room she hasn't seen yet, a library with walls lined floor-to-ceiling with books. He's sitting behind a mahogany desk, papers spread before him, a glass of amber liquid at his elbow. He doesn't look up when she enters, but he speaks anyway. "You're moving better. That's good." Mia hovers in the doorway, suddenly uncertain. This is his space, his sanctuary, and she's intruding. "I can go if you're working." "Sit." It's not a request, but he softens it by finally looking up at her, gesturing to one of the leather chairs across from his desk. "We should talk anyway." She sits, folding her hands in her lap, acutely aware that she's wearing clothes that aren't hers, borrowed from what she suspects is a collection kept for guests. Yoga pants and a soft sweater, simple and comfortable, but still probably more expensive than anything in her actual wardrobe back at her apartment. "My people found the men who attacked you," Alexander says without preamble. "All 3 of them. Low-level enforcers for the Morettis, just like I thought." Mia's heart stutters. "Did they? Are they? They're alive, for now." His expression is unreadable. "I wanted to talk to you first before deciding what to do with them." "What to do with them?" The words come out faint. "You mean, like, press charges? Go to the police? I mean, do you want them dead?" The room tilts. For a moment, Mia thinks she's going to be sick. "What? No, I don't." "You can't." "I can." He says it so matter-of-factly, like discussing the weather. They tried to kill you, Mia. Would have succeeded if you hadn't been strong enough to make it to my door. That kind of thing doesn't go unanswered in my world. Your world. She latches onto that, trying to make sense of what he's saying. What exactly is your world, Alexander? Because it's sounding less and less like import-export and real estate. He studies her for a long moment, then reaches for his glass, taking a slow sip. Have you ever heard of the Kane family? She shakes her head. Good. That means we're doing our job correctly. He sets the glass down. My grandfather came to Seattle in the 1950s with nothing. Built an empire through a combination of legitimate business and less legitimate activities. My father expanded it, diversified, made us untouchable, and I've spent the last 10 years consolidating that power, making sure we control what matters in this city. The words settle over her like snow, cold and suffocating. You're saying you're… what, the Mafia? I'm saying I'm a businessman who operates in spaces where the law can't or won't reach. I provide services, maintain order, and in exchange, I profit. He leans back in his chair. The Morettis operate in my territory. They pay me a percentage to do so. And when their people attack an innocent woman in an alley, that reflects badly on me. Suggests I don't have control, that I can't protect people in my own city. So, this is about your reputation. Anger flares hot in her chest. Not about me. About your image. It's about both. He doesn't flinch from her anger. You matter because you're a person who was wronged. But you also matter because of where you ended up. Under my roof. Under my protection. That makes you mine to defend. I'm not yours. Aren't you? He stands, moving around the desk to lean against it, arms crossed over his chest. He's close now, close enough that she has to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. You're living in my house, eating my food, wearing clothes I provided, healing because of my doctor. You called your sister on a phone I gave you. Every breath you've taken for the last 8 days has been because I decided you were worth saving. So tell me, Mia, if you're not mine, whose are you? She should be furious, should throw his words back in his face, storm out of this room, this house, and take her chances on her own. But she can't because he's right. Everything she is right now, every moment of continued existence, she owes to him. That doesn't mean you get to kill people on my behalf, she says quietly. No. He tilts his head, studying her. Then what would you have me do? Send them to prison? They'd be out in a few years, if they even got convicted. And the Morettis would know you testified, would come after you again. Is that what you want? I want. She trails off because she doesn't know what she wants. Justice? Safety? Her old life back. None of those things seem possible anymore. I want them to face consequences. But I don't want to be a murderer. You wouldn't be. I would. It's the same thing if I ask for it. Something shifts in his expression. A flash of what might be respect. All right. Then here's what I propose. I'll make it clear to the Morettis that you're under my protection. That anyone who touches you answers to me. I'll have the 3 men who attacked you dealt with, but not killed. Broken enough that they'll never forget what happens when you cross me, but alive. Does that satisfy your moral compass? It shouldn't. None of this should feel acceptable. But in this moment, in this world she's been thrust into, it feels like the best she's going to get. Yes. Good. He pushes off the desk, putting distance between them again. Now, there's something else we need to discuss. Your apartment. I sent people to pack up your things, bring them here. You went through my stuff? I had professionals pack your belongings carefully and discreetly. Everything is in storage in one of the guest rooms upstairs. But Mia, you can't go back there. Your landlord has been asking questions, and the Morettis have had people watching the building. As far as anyone knows, you disappeared that night. We need to keep it that way. The last tether to her old life, severed. For how long? I don't know yet. Weeks, maybe months. I have a lease, classes, a life. Had, he corrects gently. Past tense. That life is over, at least for now. But it doesn't mean you can't build a new one. She looks around the library, at the $1,000 desk, and the rare books, and the casual wealth that permeates every corner of this place. Here? You expect me to just live here? Where else would you go? Back to the sister you can't tell about any of this? To friends who don't exist? Face it. Mia, you have nowhere else, and honestly, once you accept that, things will be easier. She wants to argue, to prove him wrong, but she can't. He's laid out the reality of her situation with brutal clarity, and she has no counter-argument. So I'm just... What? Your house guest indefinitely? For now. Later, when things are settled, we'll figure out something more permanent. He moves back toward his desk, already dismissing her, returning his attention to his papers. Rosa will bring you dinner in your room. Get some rest. Tomorrow we'll start figuring out what your new life looks like. Mia stands on shaky legs, making her way to the door. But she pauses on the threshold, looking back at him. Alexander? Yes? Thank you. For everything. Even though I don't understand it, and I'm scared of what it means. Thank you for saving my life. He looks up, and for just a moment his expression softens. You're welcome, Mia. Now go. Eat. Sleep. We have a lot of work to do. She leaves him there, surrounded by his books, and his papers, and his power, and makes her way back upstairs on trembling legs. In her room, dinner already waiting on a tray, she finally lets herself cry. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming weight of everything that's happened. She's alive, she's safe, but the price is her freedom, her autonomy, her entire life as she knew it. And the man who holds all those things in his powerful hands is both her salvation and her prison. She doesn't know whether to be grateful or terrified. In the end, she settles for both. 2 weeks pass in a strange sort of limbo. Mia's body continues to heal. The stitches coming out on schedule, leaving behind a thin scar that pulls slightly when she moves. But it's her mind that struggles more, adjusting to captivity that doesn't feel like captivity, adapting to luxury that comes with invisible chains. Alexander's routine becomes familiar. He leaves early, sometimes before dawn, and returns in the evenings. Sometimes he seeks her out, inviting her to join him for dinner in the formal dining room where they eat at opposite ends of a table meant for 20, conversation echoing across the distance. Other times, he disappears into his library or his office, and she doesn't see him at all. She explores the house, memorizing its rooms and rhythms. The gym on the first floor, all gleaming equipment and mirrors. The pool out back, heated even in Seattle's November chill. The wine cellar beneath the house, temperature-controlled and stocked with bottles that probably cost more than her car before she'd sold it to help pay for college. Rosa becomes her lifeline, the one person who talks to her like she's human rather than some exotic creature that's wandered into Alexander's world. They speak in a mixture of English and Spanish, Mia's high school classes coming back to her in fragments, and Rosa's patient corrections helping her improve. "You're good for him," Rosa says one afternoon as they sit in the kitchen. Rosa preparing dinner, while Mia keeps her company, peeling vegetables because she needs something, anything, to do with her hands. "What do you mean?" Rosa glances toward the doorway, checking they're alone, then lowers her voice. "Mr. Kane, he's always been so serious, so controlled." Everything in its place, everything according to plan. But since you came here, I see him smile sometimes. Little things. But it's there. Mia can't imagine that she has any such effect on Alexander Kane, but she doesn't argue. Instead, she asks, "How long have you worked for him?" 10 years, since his father died and he took over the family business. He was only 25 then, so young to have so much responsibility. But he never showed weakness, never let anyone see him struggle. He just became what he needed to be. There's admiration in Rosa's voice, and something like maternal affection. Mia files away the information, adding it to the growing picture she's building of the man who owns this house, who controls her fate. That evening, for the first time, Alexander invites her to his library rather than the dining room. Dinner is laid out on a small table by the fireplace, 2 chairs drawn close, intimate in a way their previous meals haven't been. "I thought we could talk," he says as she enters, gesturing for her to sit. "Really talk, not just me giving you updates, or you asking questions I don't answer." Mia sits, eyeing the food. Seared salmon, roasted vegetables, a salad with a dressing that smells like heaven. She's gained back some of the weight she lost after the attack, but she's still thinner than she should be, and Alexander seems to have made it his mission to feed her. "Talk about what?" she asks, accepting the glass of white wine he pours for her. "You. Your life before. I know the facts from the background check my people ran. But facts aren't the same as understanding. A background check. Of course he ran one. What do you want to know?" "Start with family. You have a sister, Anna, in Portland. But no parents?" Mia takes a sip of wine, letting it fortify her. "They died when I was 17. Car accident. Drunk driver crossed the median on I-5, hit them head on. They were on their way home from a date night. I'm sorry. It was 6 years ago. I'm used to it now. That's a lie, but it's one she's told so many times it feels like truth. Anna was 15. I became her legal guardian, moved us to Portland to live with our aunt. Finished high school, worked whatever jobs I could get, made sure Anna had what she needed. And then? And then she turned 18, got into Portland State on a scholarship. Didn't need me as much anymore. So I came here, to Seattle, thinking I'd start fresh. Maybe go to college myself, build the life I'd put on hold. Community college, he says, referencing what must have been in that background check. Business classes. I'm good with numbers. Thought maybe I could be an accountant or work in finance, something stable. She laughs, the sound bitter. Stupid, right? I was taking out student loans to learn how to budget other people's money while I was living paycheck to paycheck myself. It's not stupid. It's ambitious. He cuts into his salmon with precise movements. What else? Relationships? Why do you care? Because I want to understand you. Who you are. What matters to you. Is that so strange? It should be. He's essentially her jailer, no matter how gilded the cage. But there's genuine curiosity in his voice, and she finds herself answering. No one's serious. A boyfriend in high school who broke up with me a month after my parents died because I was too depressing. A few dates here and there in Portland, but nothing stuck. I was too busy taking care of Anna, working, surviving. She meets his eyes. I'm 23 years old, Alexander, and I've spent my entire adult life just trying to stay afloat. I haven't had time for relationships or romance or any of the things normal people my age do. You think I don't understand that? He sets down his fork. I told you, I was 25 when my father died. Had to step into his world, take over a business empire built on both legitimate and illegitimate foundations. Had to prove to men twice my age that I could lead, that I wouldn't crumble under pressure. I haven't had a relationship that lasted more than a few months since then. The women I date, they either want the money and the lifestyle, or they get scared when they figure out what I really do. So we're both alone. She says it softly, recognizing the common ground between them. We are. Or we were. His eyes hold hers across the table. Maybe we don't have to be anymore. Her heart skips a beat. What are you saying? I'm saying that I've been thinking about you. A lot. About how you ended up here. About the determination it took to survive. About the way you refuse to let me intimidate you, even when you're scared. About the way you cry when you think no one can hear you, but you dry your tears and face each day anyway. He leans forward. I'm saying I haven't been able to stop thinking about you, and I'm tired of pretending I have. Mia's breath catches. This is dangerous. More dangerous than the Morettis. More dangerous than anything she's faced. Because she's been thinking about him too, in the quiet moments, in the spaces between fear and gratitude. Thinking about his rare smiles, the way his eyes soften when he looks at her, the strange safety she feels in his presence despite everything logic tells her. This is insane, she whispers. You saved my life. There's a power imbalance here that's impossible to ignore. I'm dependent on you for everything. I know. And if you told me right now that you want nothing to do with me beyond our current arrangement, I'd respect that. You'd stay here as long as you need to stay safe. And I wouldn't push for more. He stands, moving around the table to crouch beside her chair, bringing them eye to eye. But if there's any part of you that feels what I feel, any part that wonders what we could be together, then I'm asking you to consider it, to give us a chance. She should say no, should draw a line, maintain boundaries, protect herself from whatever this is. But when she looks into his storm gray eyes, she sees something she recognizes from her own mirror. Loneliness, the kind that comes from years of bearing too much weight, playing too many roles, never letting anyone see past the armor. I don't know how, she admits. I don't know how to do this, how to separate what I feel from gratitude or fear or Stockholm Syndrome or whatever psychology textbook label fits. Then don't separate it. Feel all of it. And let me feel it with you. We'll figure it out as we go. His hand comes up to cup her face, thumb brushing across her cheekbone, and Mia leans into the touch before she can stop herself. It's been so long since anyone touched her with gentleness, with care. Tell me about the security footage, she says suddenly. You said you watched me crawl to your door. What did you see? His lips curve slightly. I saw a woman who refused to die, who pulled herself forward inch by inch, leaving a trail of blood behind her, but never stopping, who knocked on a stranger's door because even in extremis, she chose to fight for her life. His thumb traces her lower lip. I saw someone extraordinary, Mia, someone worth saving, someone worth keeping. And then he kisses her. It's gentle at first, testing, asking permission even as he takes it. But when Mia's lips part beneath his, when her hand comes up to grip his shirt, pulling him closer, the kiss deepens. It becomes something more, something that tastes like desperation and need, and the collision of two lonely souls finding unexpected harbor in each other. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, Mia's heart is racing for entirely different reasons than fear. This is crazy, she repeats, but there's no conviction in her voice. Probably, Alexander agrees, but I stopped pretending my life was sane a long time ago. He stands, pulling her up with him, and she goes willingly, drawn into his orbit like gravity. Stay with me tonight, not because you have to, not because you're afraid or grateful or any other reason than you want to. She should think about it. Weigh the consequences, protect herself. But she's spent so many years being careful, being responsible, sacrificing what she wants for what others need. And right now, standing in this library with this dangerous, complicated man, She wants to be reckless. "Okay," she whispers. "Yes." The smile he gives her is pure and genuine, transforming his face into something almost boyish. He leads her from the library, through the house, up the stairs to a wing she hasn't explored yet. His bedroom is massive, all dark wood and masculine lines, with a bed that dominates the space and windows that look out over the city lights of Seattle spread below. He kisses her again, and then again, each kiss deeper than the last, until they're tangled together on that massive bed, clothes discarded, barriers breaking down. And when he makes love to her, it's with a tenderness that contradicts everything she knows about him, a gentleness that acknowledges her healing body, her wounded soul. Afterwards, she lies in his arms, her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat, steady and strong beneath her ear. "What happens now?" she asks into the darkness. "Now we figure it out. Together." His hand strokes through her hair. "You stay here with me. Not as my prisoner or my burden, but as—" He trails off. "As what?" "As mine," he finishes. "If you'll have me." Maya thinks about everything that led to this moment. The attack in the alley, the desperate crawl to his door, the weeks of recovery and uncertainty. She thinks about her old life, the one she can never go back to, and the new life taking shape in this mansion, in this man's arms. It's insane, impossible, against every rule of logic and self-preservation. But when Alexander tightens his arms around her, when she feels truly safe for the first time since her parents died, Mia makes her choice. "Yes," she whispers, "I'll have you." And in the morning, when Seattle wakes beneath a blanket of November rain, Mia Carson wakes in Alexander Kane's bed and doesn't regret a single moment of recklessness. The weeks that follow blur together in a haze of contentment so foreign to Mia that she sometimes wonders if she's dreaming. Alexander doesn't change exactly. He's still intense and controlled and wrapped in the shadows of his business. But with her, he softens. Private smiles, gentle touches, mornings where they linger over coffee, and evenings where they shut out the world. She learns the rhythms of his life, the way he goes still when he's thinking, his mind racing through calculations she can't see, the way he runs his hand through his hair when he's frustrated, leaving it endearingly mussed, the way he looks at her when he thinks she's not paying attention, like she's a puzzle he's trying to solve, a treasure he's still learning to believe is real. Christmas comes, and Alexander surprises her with a tree in the living room, decorated overnight by staff, but left unlit until they can turn it on together. He gives her gifts that are thoughtful rather than expensive, a leather journal when she mentions wanting to write, a cookbook when she says she wants to learn to make something other than ramen, a framed photo of her and Anna that he somehow acquired and restored to glossy perfection. She gives him the only thing she can, a painting she worked on in secret, borrowing supplies from Rosa, hiding in one of the unused bedrooms to create it. It's abstract, all storm grays and sharp blacks with threads of gold running through, representing the way she sees him, dangerous and beautiful, and shot through with unexpected light. When he unwraps it on Christmas morning, his hand's still on the canvas. For a long moment, he says nothing, just stares at it, and Mia's heart sinks, thinking she's made a mistake, that it's too personal or too presumptuous. Then he looks up at her, and there are actual tears in his eyes. "No one's ever made me anything before," he says quietly, "given me something that came from them, that couldn't just be bought." He hangs it in his bedroom, in the space across from the bed, where it's the first thing he sees when he wakes. And that night, when he makes love to her, there's something different in his touch, something that feels like reverence. But their bubble of happiness can't last forever. Reality intrudes in the form of a phone call in early January, Alexander's voice sharp and cold as he speaks in clipped sentences from his office. When he emerges, his expression is thunderous. "What's wrong?" Mia asks from her spot on the couch, where she's been reading. "The Morettis. They're pushing back, questioning my authority. Apparently, word got out about you, about what I did to the men who attacked you. Some people see it as weakness, protecting one woman so fiercely. They think I'm going soft." Fear lances through her. "So what does that mean?" "It means I need to remind them why they should fear me, why crossing me has consequences that last longer than a few broken bones." He runs his hand through his hair, that telltale sign of frustration. "I have to go to a meeting tonight. Neutral ground. Representatives from all the major families. It's going to get ugly. Can I come with you?" He looks at her like she's lost her mind. "Absolutely not. These aren't businessmen in suits having polite discussions, Mia. These are dangerous people, and I won't risk you." "I'm already at risk. Didn't you say I was yours to defend? That protecting me was about more than just me?" She stands, moving toward him. "Let me come. Let them see me. See that I'm real. That I'm worth whatever you've done. You want to walk into a room full of criminals who are debating whether I've lost my edge? Who might decide that taking you out would solve the problem? I want to stand beside you. Show them you haven't gone soft, that you're strong enough to protect what's yours, and dare them to challenge you." She takes his hand. "Let me be your strength, not your weakness." He studies her for a long moment, and she can see the war in his eyes. The instinct to protect her, fighting against the recognition that she might be right, that her presence could shift the dynamic in his favor. "If you do this," he finally says, "you follow my lead completely. You stay beside me, you don't speak unless I ask you to, and if I tell you to leave, you go. No arguments. Agreed?" Agreed. 3 hours later, Mia finds herself in the back of Alexander's car, wearing a dress he pulled from somewhere in the house, black and elegant and armor-like in its severity. Her hair is pulled back, her makeup minimal but perfect, and around her neck is a diamond necklace that probably costs more than her childhood home. "You look like you belong in this world," Alexander says quietly, his hand finding hers in the darkness of the car's interior. "I don't belong anywhere," she replies, "except with you." The meeting is in a warehouse by the waterfront, an industrial space that's been cleaned up and set with a single round table surrounded by chairs. Men in expensive suits fill those chairs, some with bodyguards behind them, all of them turning to watch as Alexander enters with Mia at his side. She feels the weight of their stares, sees the calculation in their eyes as they assess her, the woman who caused such a commotion, the one Alexander Kane nearly went to war over. Alexander pulls out a chair for her, a gesture of such casual chivalry that it draws murmurs from the assembled men. Then he sits beside her, his posture relaxed, but his eyes sharp as they scan the table. "Gentlemen," he says, his voice carrying easily through the space, "I understand there are concerns. Let's address them." An older man, heavy-set with cold eyes, leans forward. "You broke my nephew's legs, Kane? And for what? A girl who was in the wrong place at the wrong time? Your nephew stabbed an innocent woman in an alley and left her to bleed to death. That woman made it to my door, which made her mine to protect. I think I showed remarkable restraint. All things considered." "Restraint?" Another man, younger, with a scar running down his cheek, laughs harshly. "You've had men watching our operations for weeks. You've frozen assets, blocked shipments, all over one woman. It's not restraint, it's obsession. And obsession is weakness." Mia feels Alexander tense beside her, but his voice remains calm. "Is it weakness to enforce standards? to make clear that innocent civilians are off limits. You all operate in my city with my blessing. That blessing comes with rules. One of those rules is that you don't create collateral damage that brings unwanted attention. She worked at a club owned by Moretti interests, the first man argues. She wasn't exactly innocent. She served drinks, Alexander counters. She knew nothing about your operations. She was as innocent as they come. And if we can't agree that attacking such people is off limits, then we have a much bigger problem than my response to 3 men who broke that unspoken rule. The room falls silent. Maya can feel the tension, thick enough to choke on. These men are balanced on a knife's edge, deciding whether Alexander is right or weak, whether to fall in line or challenge him. And then she does something she didn't plan, something that comes from instinct rather than thought. She reaches over and takes Alexander's hand, lacing her fingers through his in full view of everyone at the table. It's a statement, a claim. She's choosing him, publicly and without shame, validating his protection of her as worthwhile. Alexander's fingers tighten around hers, and when he speaks again, there's steel in his voice. This woman is mine. She will remain under my protection for as long as she wishes it, and anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me personally, not through attacks on my interests, not through whispered complaints in meetings, directly, face to face. I welcome the challenge. The silence stretches. Then, slowly, the older man sits back in his chair. You've made your point, Kane. She's yours. We'll respect that. One by one, the others nod agreement. Some reluctant, some grudging, but all accepting. The crisis has passed. The meeting continues for another hour, business discussed, and deals made. But Mia barely hears it. Her hand stays locked with Alexander's the entire time, a lifeline anchoring them both. When they finally leave, stepping back into the cold January night, Alexander pulls her close, pressing his lips to her forehead. That was either the bravest or the stupidest thing you've ever done, he murmurs against her skin. Maybe both, she admits, but I meant what I said. I belong with you. Let them see it. In the car, he kisses her properly, deeply, pouring everything he couldn't say in that room into the press of his lips, the grip of his hands, and Mia kisses him back, tasting danger and triumph and the sweet certainty that she's exactly where she's meant to be. The weeks after the meeting are quieter. Alexander's business stabilizes, the challenges to his authority fading as word spreads about his declaration and his clear willingness to back it up. Mia settles into her new life more fully, no longer a temporary guest, but a permanent fixture. She starts taking online classes again, business courses she can complete from the mansion. Alexander sets up an office for her, complete with all the technology she needs, and seems delighted when she discusses her assignments with him over dinner. She reconnects with Anna, carefully, through video calls that don't reveal where she is. Her sister knows something's changed. Mia can see it in her eyes. But Anna doesn't push. Maybe she senses that whatever secret Mia is keeping is for her own protection. And through it all, Mia and Alexander grow closer. Not just physically, though there's plenty of that, but emotionally. He tells her about his father, the man who built an empire, but never showed his son affection. She tells him about her fears, about the nightmares where she's back in that alley, where she doesn't make it to his door in time. One night in late February, as they lie tangled together in his bed, Mia traces the lines of his face with her fingertips. "What are you thinking?" he asks, catching her hand and pressing a kiss to her palm. "That I should be more scared than I am. That I should want my old life back. That none of this makes sense." She meets his eyes. "But I don't. I don't want anything except this. Except you." Good, he says simply. Because I'm not letting you go. Not now, not ever. You understand that, don't you? What started as protection, as duty, it's become something else. Something I didn't expect and can't control. Love, she whispers, barely daring to name it. Love, he confirms. I love you, Mia Carson. From the moment I saw you on that security footage, refusing to die, I think I've been falling. I just didn't know it until you were in my arms. Tears spill down her cheeks, hot and sudden. I love you too. God help me, but I do. You're everything I shouldn't want, and everything I need. He pulls her closer, and they stay like that for a long time, wrapped in each other, in the impossibility and certainty of what they've found. In March, Alexander takes her to meet his mother, a woman who lives in a penthouse in downtown Seattle, kept in luxury but distanced from the family business. She's elegant and cold at first, assessing Mia with sharp eyes, clearly wondering what kind of woman has captured her son's attention. But over lunch, something thaws. Maybe it's the way Mia doesn't flinch from difficult questions. Maybe it's the way Alexander looks at her, with such obvious devotion that even his reserved mother can see it. Or maybe it's when Mia mentions her own parents' death, and Alexander's mother reaches across the table to squeeze her hand, genuine sympathy in her eyes. You're good for him, she says as they're leaving, echoing Rosa's words from months ago. He's been alone for so long, too long. Don't let him push you away when things get hard. Make him let you in. I will, Mia promises. Spring comes, Seattle's endless gray giving way to cherry blossoms and sudden bursts of sun. Mia's scar fades to a thin silver line, easily hidden, but always present, a reminder of where she came from. The anniversary of that night approaches, and she finds herself anxious, waiting for trauma to resurface, for nightmares to intensify. Instead, Alexander takes her away for the weekend, to a cabin in the San Juan Islands, where there's nothing but water and trees and sky. They spend 3 days completely disconnected from the world, from his business and her studies, just the two of them learning new dimensions of each other. On the last night, as they watch the sunset from the cabin's deck, Mia turns to him with a question she's been holding back. What happens next? Long term, I mean. I can't hide in your house forever. You're not hiding. You're living. With me. He pulls her against his side. But you're right. We need to think about the future. What do you want, Mia? Really want? She considers. I want to finish my degree. I want to work, contribute, be more than just someone you protect. I want... She hesitates. I want to be your partner. In every way. Done. He says it with such certainty that she laughs. Just like that? Just like that. You want to work? I'll set you up in my company, legitimate side. Finance, administration, whatever you're interested in. You want independence? Take it. I never wanted you trapped, Mia. I wanted you safe. There's a difference. And us? What are we exactly? He turns to face her fully, taking both her hands in his. We're whatever you want us to be. But if you're asking what I want... He reaches into his pocket, pulling out a small box that makes Mia's heart stop. I want you to marry me. I want you to be my wife, my partner, my equal in every way that matters. I want to build a life with you, one that's not defined by how we met, but by how we choose to continue. He opens the box, revealing a ring that catches the last light of the sunset, a diamond surrounded by smaller stones, elegant and beautiful, and so perfectly her taste that she knows he paid attention to every little thing she's ever said. Mia Carson, will you marry me? She should think about it, should consider the complications, the danger, the sheer insanity of marrying into this world. But she spent months living in the aftermath of near death, learning that sometimes the crazy choice is the right one. Yes, she says, laughing through tears. Yes, absolutely. Yes. He slides the ring onto her finger, and it fits perfectly. Of course it does. Then he kisses her as the sun disappears below the horizon, as the stars come out above them, as the world narrows to just this moment. This choice, this perfect rightness. They marry in June. A small ceremony in the gardens of the mansion, with only close friends and family present. Anna comes, and if she's shocked by the grandeur and the reality of Mia's new life, she hides it well. Alexander's mother cries, delicate tears she dabs away with a handkerchief. Rosa weeps openly, joy written across her face. And when Mia walks down the aisle toward Alexander, wearing a dress that makes her feel like a princess, seeing the way his eyes widen and his breath catches, she knows she's made the right choice. Whatever this life is, whatever dangers still lurk in the shadows, they'll face it together. The vows they exchange are traditional, but when Alexander says, in sickness and in health, he squeezes her hand, and she knows he's thinking of that night, of blood on his doorstep, and a woman who refused to die. And when she says, for better or worse, she meets his eyes, promising without words that she's not afraid of the worse, not anymore. The reception is beautiful, more celebration than she's ever experienced. But her favorite moment comes late in the evening when the crowd is thinned, and she and Alexander slip away to the library, their sanctuary. Mrs. Kane, he says, trying out the name. How does it feel? Strange? Good. Right. She kisses him softly. Thank you. For what? For finding me. For saving me. For giving me a reason to fight my way to your door. I think, he says, that you saved yourself. I just gave you a place to land. They stand together in the library, surrounded by books and memories, and the promise of a future they'll write together. And Mia Carson no longer exists. She's Mia Kane now, wife of Alexander Kane, survivor of impossible odds, living proof that sometimes collapsing unconscious at the right door changes everything. And when they finally watch the security footage together later that night, when Alexander shows her those minutes of her crawling forward through rain and pain, she sees what he saw from the beginning. Not a victim, not someone broken, but a fighter. Someone worth saving. Someone extraordinary. I love you, she whispers as they watch her past. Self refused to give up. I love you too, he replies. Always. And in the mansion that has become her home, in the arms of the man who is now her husband, Mia Kane finally, truly, feels safe. What did you think of their story? Share your thoughts in the comments. On a scale from 0 to 10, what's your rating? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow all our stories, and check out more emotional stories by clicking on the end screen.